Welcome everyone to quick live vlog update here from the state of open source things. Basically how to overwork and burn out open source developers. In my opinion, crazy stuff. Also why I really hate sending stuff upstream, right? And this should not be like this. As you've seen here on this channel, I do open source stuff with Linux, with RT2 Linux here for 25 years. And like I fix stuff like every hour, right? Sometimes maybe even 50 things a day is seen here usually on the videos, right? And so also nearly 4 years ago, here 2020, I noticed, like very few people somehow noticed, you build code with GCC for G5 or IBM Sony Cell, and it would misoptimize it, right? We built a Linux distribution, so, and also that is the main primary optimization I use, because obviously most normal people have an Apple Power Macintosh from back in the day from G5, right? Most people don't have another IBM Power PC. They're out there. I have only recently once got one, right? So it's the main like G5 and Cell, probably 90% or whatnot of at least vintage and retro. I mean, it was back in the day the most prosumer thing and still is. So it's basically the main optimization for us, and that didn't work, right? This failed. How did I notice? I built our Linux. I booted it on the G5 and stuff segmentation for that, right? So of course I debugged that, like all reasons. It's not like anyone else would debug that for me, as you see in a second. And this is such a major thing. So I found GCC was broken. There was some refactoring. The recurring theme hides only constants change and regressions. So they changed stuff, they broke stuff, like it happens. It, of course, as usual, like debugging around here and stuff, like it took like easily an hour, like an hour or maybe even two, right? Like so much time I usually put into fixing the open source work, right? And because this was a major thing, like often I don't send stuff up because I recurrently say here, sending stuff upstream takes me 10 times, like orders of magnitudes more time, right? Writing an email, having discussions, sending it again and again and again. And eventually, like, this is why it takes orders of magnitudes more time, and all the small fixes I don't even send up because I'm out of time. So I sent it upstream, like I fired even a Bugzilla report, right? What I do for all major things, especially increasingly thanks to your shares, likes and subscribes, I did the responsible thing, right? I spent extra time, filed a bug report, as I sometimes do, bug 97367, PowerPC 64, G5 and cell optimization result in .machine power 7, which is wrong, it should be power 4. Already soon 2 years ago, that's 3.5 years ago. Even filed C, because like why does it take so much time? Because I need to write the details, prove it, like test case, example and stuff, like, so I even did my due diligence and figured out since when this is a regression. So since rework RS 6000 RISC, IBM RISC machine 6000 dot machine output selection in commit E1542 whatnot 4242 May 2019, so it's broken. As of this video, 2019, it's still broken except in T2 Linux, of course. Compiling glibc with either G5 or Cell results in Power 7 assembly optimization to be chosen. That's a problem. Like you tell GCC, I want G5, and then glibc, hey, you want to optimize for Power 7, you get Power 7 stuff. Like that obviously segment illegal instruction faults, which obviously crashes with illegal instruction. This is because GCC machine output was, and that is extra time, right? Writing story, like doing a little bit more due diligence, since when it's broken, commit hash and stuff, an example, so here example, like any empty test C file, whatnot, MCPU G5, and you get here Power 7. So that one, then nothing happened. I even sent it to the mailing list, as you will see in a second. So basically here, this is some pointless thing here. So December. And so my expectation is I sent this upstream, someone works on this, right? I did all the work, the heavy lifting for them for free, and then nothing happens. Then I pinged them, like, I pinged them here, right? Like also, like, care to submit to GCC patches. It's like, hey, I did, right? Like, it's like, I expect that is enough, like, do it, right? 2 months passed, like, I want to submit this to GCC patches, which maybe because I pinged like even on Twitter, like 2024, you ping like, hey, 2 months later, like, hey, hello, someone's there, it's a Free Software Foundation, can we have some patch there, there's patch waiting. I thought it's like important, like the main major, like normal enthusiast home. Anyway. So then please send it to the mailing list. Patches. Also, like, yes, this was freaking later, right? Like, here, submit to GC patches. I even went this. Here. Right, even did this. Like, hey, hello, since we're working there, bug and patch already there. Hello, waiting. Maybe someone wants to do something. I probably keep pinging people sometimes here and there. It's like, yes, it was sent to the mailing list. And then here, rebased patch, someone even, Jonathan Wakely, and sort of like, here, rebased patch, like a little bit rebased. And then I, like 3 years later, hey, hello, latest version. I'm still here waiting, latest version, right? Because minor changes or whatnot. Please send to the mailing list with git send email. It's like, dude, we have it 3.5 years later. Please send it a little bit differently. Which and CC, that is not enough, right? And that is why I'm making this video, because I'm really getting burned out, right? Not only I work mostly for free, except your Patreon and stuff, but like open source enthusiasts, and then we get our stuff deleted, right? We care, we maintain, and then P3 want to delete. Itanium, delete. Of course, we keep it maintained, even more work for us. Other people, like, it was broken since 5 years. Delete, 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 delete. Hello, I had the patch for 5 years. Anyway, sending, it's like, hey, you sent it wrong. Like, send it with git send email. Like, do you even more work, right? And then, and by the way, also CC or pod. I didn't even know that this is a thing, right? I thought Bugzilla, I thought like mailing list, but you need to personally CC your PowerPC Risk System 6000 maintainer. It's like, dude, over how many sticks do you want me to jump to make you work for free? Anyway, so I did, right? I sent it again. And you will not believe what happens. Got an email already 2 months ago. Like, basically, I had to recover. Like, this is so annoying for me, because this happens on a daily basis, right? I only make this video because this is the tip of the iceberg. I'm really getting enough, right? So subject, patch, fix PowerPC less than 7 with Altivec, not defaulting to Power 7. Got an email of the port maintainer. It's like, hi, thanks for the fix. 3.5 years later. This fix looks reasonable for me. Option mask Altivec is part of PowerPC 7400 mask. So any specific CPU type within which has this mask by default and isn't handled early in function machine from CPU can suffer from this issue. Yes, like I described 3.5 years ago. So nitpicking, you could also, nitpicking, like, it's still not applied, but hey, could you also add us one test case for free? It's like, could you also add one test case for this? And by the way, Deja GNU CPU G5 can force a CPU type in DG options. And then also like more nitpicking of nit, this line is too long. Like how is this like, I mean, my Emacs doesn't show that here, but it's like what, 84 characters or I don't know, 86. I mean, are we still coding like I'm coding like Stone Age, but like, seriously. And that's also the thing, right? Linux kernel, you send stuff like, this line is too long, I don't like this white. Yes, I also like my white space is clean, right? But in my opinion, there's also a limit of like, hey, this white space and this, like, if this would be 120 characters, but anyway. But the craziest thing is, so, and that day, so I made a mistake. I should have replied, sorry, I don't have more time, right? Because basically, YOLO, whatever, if it's broken in all other Linux distributions, it basically only needs to work in T2 Linux, right? Like, who cares? But because we also applied to become Itanium maintainer, because obviously they want to delete Itanium, and I thought like, okay, some practice, I can make a YouTube video. But the problem is, I realize all this stuff is really because this is like multiplied 100, right? Like keeping P3 working, keeping SGI stuff working, keeping the whole of T2 working. I realize it starts to affect my concentration, because like I have obviously too much. People think I'm some Uber code or whatnot. This is getting too much for me, and this is simply annoyingly depressive, right? Because you're obviously like, here one shit thing, and there's some other thing, and here's some patch, and here's some white space. Basically keeping ourselves busy. Like this patch is so tiny, it should have applied 3.5 years ago. And IBM, so this developer is apparently PowerPC maintainer from IBM. here somewhere of here IBM at IBM fame. So basically IBM, like the paid developer here at Linux, IBM or so, is asking me also, like basically free software foundation stuff, like, hey, do more work for us for free. Thanks for fixing this, but please do more work for free. And this is, I realize this is really unethical of this big mega corporations giving very little back. And then basically talking us, and that's what, for 2 months, I am basically procrastinating because like I have so many things to do, a company to run, money to earn, industry to run, like it is 3.5 years later, like do you also need to write this test case? But, and the problem is now, so long story short, basically, for these developers, the difference is those developers work on GCC every day, right? And the problem for me, it's really inefficient. Basically, they are asking some contributing developer to study the test suite, right? So they use Deja GNU. So now I need to, and I did this yesterday on Twitch, right? That's why I summarize this in this live stream. Yesterday we did this on Twitch, and of course it costed me another hour. So now I'm already 3 or maybe 4 hours in, and yes, this one-liner cost me then 4 hours to fix. Here, this is basically one-liner. Initially debugging it, fixing it, sending it upstream, like all this bloody communication, like pinging, another pinging, also 1 hour gone already. And like 4 hours for a one-liner, right? This is how I don't make this to criticize just this one person. I'm criticizing the whole system, right? Like having everyone work for free and then some extra work for free without any token of appreciation. And also like when I get patches in T2 and on Linux distribution, like I basically apply everything, right? Unless it has a security vulnerability and other bugs. But this thing, I always hated it, right? So this Linux kernel and GC, like other projects, like I don't like this white space, like reformatting, like line break, like do. If there is some small thing, like do press enter there and commit it, right? Like it's more work of writing, hey, press enter here. Like it's more work, like it's an order of magnitude more work to ping people to resend it, like Linus Torvalds and stuff. And now with the test suite, right? I had to study the test suite, and the day I received this email, I already didn't like it. I was like, dude, this cannot be. They also like even more work, right? And I only did this basically because Itanium, right? I need to understand this test suite stuff because now, so that is GCC test suite, and so of course we did this patch now, this test suite, right? Also, like additionally, and so I need to send this now. Let's see how many discussions. So this is a test suite. This is the smallest test suite I came up with. Here, GCC test suite, GCC targets. So I had to read some manual, right? I had to understand you like read this Deja GNU stuff of TickleTick, TCL, TickleTick, expect based Deja GNU. I had to basically find here like where to edit, right? Like why does it take an hour? Like I knew nothing about, I mean, I know TCL/TK, like who knows TCL/TK? I mean, I a little bit. Used it recently, even expect. I used expect to my, like, other people would have maybe even taken longer. I mean, I knew some expect stuff. I used it for our T2 Linux testing also, only since recently. So I had to figure out like where to put it, right? Here's various GCC whatnot things, right? I had to search through it here. Of course, when you know where stuff is, like I had to look basically like how do you start? Like I had to analyze, okay, what do they usually do here? Like how can we make it integrated somehow? Like what do we need to test? So basically we need to test building with G5, and then first I thought preprocessor is enough, but with like it takes time, right? Test engineer, test suite stuff, and that is basically how we burn out, like think curl, think other exec backdoor and stuff, right? And we should treat, I mean, not only should all the open source developers treat each other nicely and help much more, right? Like instead of like asking for a test suite, I would expect IBM, Red Hat, SUSE, Google, Apple engineers to quickly do that, right? Because when you do this, the difference is I did this the first time and I had to spend another hour or nearly 2. Of course, this looks like nothing, It's like basically do compile, there's also run and stuff, right? There's compile, link, run or execute. I only know this because I reviewed this yesterday, right? So then required effective target LP64, like better that only, then options here, like pathing that there, forcing, so this is assembly, and I even had to grab other tests, right? It took me half an hour to figure out like how to best do that. Deja GNU final here, scan assembler output here of that. Like, sure, if you have this 4 lines, like then it's like, it's only 5 minutes. Like, no, this takes like 1 hour with reading the manual, grabbing around there, finding the best, and also testing it, right? Of course, I did test this, right? I also tested the negative thing. I mean, not only before and after, like with this patch and not, like even just testing that probably took like some extra 15 minutes of making sure this test really tests something, right? And at the end, I can't even make the best YouTube video out of this because like who wants to see like last night doing this live on Twitch, right? So that's basically what really bugs me about upstream maintenance. It's similar to I sent a P3, like upstream Linux kernel, they broke P3 storage driver, I sent a patch, and there's like, yeah, it's white space damage, I don't know what, like they sent it again, it's like, yeah, it's tiniest thing, but it's just annoying, right? Instead of, I don't even know if it was white space damage, but maybe it was, but it's basically always like, send it again, do that again, and I don't do this with T2, right? I get some white space damage patch, I just manually fix it, right? I get, or even if I don't like it, like if I would get the test case and it is not perfect, I would just make it perfect, right? Because that's the difference. It's orders of magnitudes more efficient for those upstream developers to just do it. It literally takes them, or should take them, 5 minutes, because they certainly work with this test suite stuff all day. Sure, now, yes, win-win, we want to take over Itanium there, so now we know test suite, yay! But at the end of the day, like, that is when I say for 25 years I do this, and I spend, what did I, 50,000 whatever hours I recently here, 25, actually, what did I even calculate there? Recently made a rough estimation of how many hours that was, if that would load. That was somewhere probably here. This is 50,000 or whatnot I came up with, or was it on the other channel? Wherever, on which other channel it even was, right? 25 years, or maybe there. Anyway, you get the idea, right? Yeah, you get the idea. Somewhere. Yeah, this adds up, right? Doing this stuff for 25 years, you've been there, you've seen everything, and now even the GCC test suite. But we should really, this needs to be more efficient, right? And especially in this day and age when the big mega corporations have fully embraced open source and simply just extract the most out of open source and without giving much back, right? I also tried with, remember this RISC-V first AMD GPU RDNA 2 enablement I did, and I tried to get either AMD or Sci-Fi Hi-Fi to pay me some 8 hours. I didn't even ask for much, like only 8 hours, engineer like $1,000 or $2,000 or whatnot, like a reasonable of like some kernel developers fixes some stuff. I had already done half of the work for free, like basically in weekend, and just finishing the floating point support in the kernel, I could neither get AMD nor Hi-Fi Sci-Fi to just donate me $1,000 or $2,000 to finish this. And now, 3 years later, their engineers have redone what I had already done 3 years, just because they had no interest in infrastructure to give a little bit back to the open source, right? And that is really sad. The irony is that this, I just by preparing for this video, I found like just this developer here. This is Clint. I'm not, so I don't want, oh no, it's not the same, oh no, sorry. Anyway, whatever. Because someone else also complained here already. I thought it's the same, but it isn't, sorry, mixed up names. But basically, certainly surprised that you disagree with me, but since I don't think we have ever agreed on anything, something like 5 years, you see what I'm talking about. Oh, here it is also. After several rough experiences, like other people, like, am I the first? Like, no, 2010. Nope, after several rough experiences, I've stopped reporting GCC bugs. problems like, am I the first? No. Usually takes weeks of their time. So am I exaggerating? No, other people takes weeks. It's the time. I think only once or twice has a problem been fixed because of the bug report. And it shouldn't be like this, right? And then people wonder like, hey, we have 1,000 bug reports open. And so this, the irony is this bug report, disastrous scheduling for Power 5, reported in 2007, is unconfirmed. And apparently, is it still, I think it's open, right? Like modified, it looks open, right? Do we have here 20 reproduce the problem on a Power Mac G5 with 4 cores, original, so Christian Cornelsen, so maybe some grave performance regression with some Power 4 and 5 scheduling stuff, like why is this not yet assigned to anyone? Like version 4.2 like 15 years ago, it's like, so my 3-year-old bug. But yeah, given my experience there, not a surprise. Leave in the comments what you think. Yeah, I don't even know what, I mean, what can I offer as a resolution? As a resolution, I can offer like work with bugs faster, especially reported with easier reproducible and patch. Like 3.5 years is simply outrageous, and not expect volunteer contributors to do even more work for you. And I mean, maybe IBM has given up on PowerPC, but like, oh wait, this is my bug. Like, why is this bug still open? I have questions. I mean, sure, the Free Software Foundation, it's maybe similar to the Mozilla Foundation, right? Doing everything but focusing on the most important code things. But, and last but not least, do not be this white space lawyering and line lengths stuff. If there's some small if there's some small white space thing and line lengths, also like, in my opinion, like really 100 characters really ought to be enough in this day and age, right? But just like, I mean, this is already 2 months past because I get the pressure from this stuff, right? Like 2 months have passed, sure, this is now it's on me of like 2 months not have done TestStute for free, but it's, you would expect also like, hey, ping, what we're doing here, right? Like they basically just released the GCC, which is still not fixed, right? But anyway, I have a patch, I have a TestStute to send in now additionally. Happy that I finally have done that. If you want to support this crazy stuff, you know where to find my Patreon, right? And distributions that has all of this fixed. Hope you enjoyed this, learned something. The daily stuff. All right, this is the daily life of IT stuff. Don't forget to like, subscribe. I hope you enjoyed, learned something. Maybe show some token of appreciation of underpaid open source developers. And catch you next time for all the development and fun stuff to come.